Yo, you at the shop right now?
Yeah, I was at home, and then everyone's sleeping, so I was like, I'm just gonna come back
Yeah.
here. Like my house is a wreck, It's like I knew I could come back here and like have the decent setup and just be way easier. So
I'd rather do these at work, like earlier in the day, but
yeah,
for right now, this is the only thing I can do.
yeah, you just gotta fit it in like when you can.
So are you guys working right now through like the quarantine thing, or?
Yeah. I mean, Freddie and I have been here coming in pretty regularly. Like my wife is a teacher, so she is kind of like trying to work but also being home. So
Right.
I've been like hanging in the mornings at home for a few hours just to like help, and then I'll head in here. I mean, I could work from home, but I can just get so much more shit done if I'm here. So
Oh
then,
yeah,
and
100%.
since it's just like me and Freddie here, the other two girls that work with us have been working from home or just like quarantining, I guess.
Yeah, but you
Um,
don't have like walk-ins or anything, right?
no, we're just like the only guys that come that we have like the UPS guy comes every day
Right.
and shit. But like other than that, it's just us. Yeah, there's no. Our old shop, our old spot was more like a retail front,
Right.
and this is more of like a warehouse spot. So there's not really any foot traffic, which is sweet.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. No one bothers
Yeah.
us. We needed more space, so we were looking around. But I had a friend who was leasing this space, and she still does lease part of it. She has like a small workshop in the back, but
Yeah.
we have like probably 80% of the space. But like I was like, yeah, I don't. She was like, yeah, you can put like signage up, and I was like, nah, I don't even care.
Mm.
I was like, I don't
Yeah.
want anyone to know we're here.
Was this one or is what is the last one that was kind of like more studio space where you had like art shows and stuff like that?
That was at the last space. Yeah, that was the first space, and that one originally, like that actual space, I opened up as a gallery before it was even our office space.
Mm.
That was like I opened that with my other friend who I had a business with before, and we're still buds. We're just not in business together anymore. But
Right.
we opened that space because it was above. We had a recording studio, and below that, the recording studio, this other space opened, and it was a shithole. So we just like renovated it because the landlord was like, "Well, you guys can have it for super cheap if you want it." And we were like, sweet, we'll figure out what to do with it. So we just renovated the whole space. And I was like, well, I can make this into like a pop-up space. And just kind of like, we did some concerts in there, like little acoustic concerts. We did art shows. We rented the space out for like little intimate events.
Yeah, the art shows and
Um,
stuff looked awesome from
yeah,
when
that
I
was
remember
fun.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun era. And like before that, I just been doing mostly like design work.
Hmm.
Um, and like the music stuff. So I was just kind of I wasn't making a lot of art. And then we opened that space, and then I kind of was like, well, shit, like I'm going to throw these art shows. Like I'll start making more art and meet more artists. And it just kind of like, that kind of got me back into just making like painting and drawing for the hell of it. Where
Right.
before it was like I was always doing art and always painting and drawing, but it was more like only for like projects or illustration work or design work or whatever.
Right. It seems like you've just been doing a shitload of that lately, though.
Of design work or painting.
Just painting and like making the woodcuts and stuff.
Yeah, that was kind of the beginning of it, I guess, was with the gallery. And then I started doing the murals and stuff, which is like I had done some murals in college, and I'd done some murals with other, like for friends and a couple small jobs and stuff. But
Yeah.
then like murals just kind of became more of a thing.
Yeah.
And that was also like when I started to do sort of the style that I work in now, like
Hmm.
kind of all developed around that time too. But yeah, the murals is cool because now it's turned into like a legitimate revenue stream for
Right. That's what I was wondering is if you have that
legitimate
as like
business.
an offer. Like, do you offer that through Brightlight or is that like a
Yeah,
specific you
yeah,
thing?
no, I do it. I do everything through Brightlight. So it's all like under the same company. So if people hit me up on Instagram or whatever, like any commercial projects really are done through the company.
Right.
If I'm doing like some wood cutouts or commission paintings or stuff, I'll do that on my own. But for the most part, I try to run everything through the business just because it makes more sense. It's just more professional that way, and it just makes more sense that way. And then like
Right.
for the stuff that I'm not doing, like the rest of the team is handling like, web stuff or content stuff or whatever. So it kind of just like all works out.
What are you doing mostly at the office? Like the illustration for the stuff that they're kind of building website wise and stuff?
Well, no, I mean, we all do all sorts of shit, but like these days, mostly like I'm handling graphic stuff. So I'm like pretty much just branding stuff. I'll still do like graphic design, branding, a little bit of web design, but I'm not, you know, on larger web projects, I'll do some stuff, but we'll bring in some other designers usually for that.
Right.
But yeah, branding and then illustration stuff, and then, you know, a lot of mural stuff, and then all the mixtape stuff. So yeah, it's
So
like
everything basically.
yeah, I mean everything. And then like, you know, I'm doing like woodworking projects and shit here too, but it's just because that's
Right.
just like what I like to do. I like to do everything.
No, it's nice
So,
when you can do all that stuff and get paid for it.
right, exactly. And it's like slowly we've been like adding different things to our mix, you know. At first it was just like Freddie and I just kind of making websites and like doing some graphic design stuff and like but I was always an illustrator. It was just there's like that's harder work to find, you know. Like you can do all the, like back with, you know, I mean, I think you and I met on like empties back in the day.
Yeah.
And that was like
12 years ago, dude.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And at that time it was like, if you want to do illustration work, you're doing like $100 t-shirt designs,
right.
and like some gig posters and shit like that. And that was fun, but it was like, we started to get into web design and graphic design and branding and stuff, because that's just, you could just make more money. You can make a living doing that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when did you, when I met you, you were at Fairfax.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So what were you doing before Fairfax?
Well, so I had one job before that. That was with like a corporate company as a graphic designer and illustrator, and that was like my first job out of college. So I studied illustration in art school, and then.
So you did go through a full art school then?
I went to art school, and I, you know, but did mostly like drawing and painting.
Did you actually like learn anything from that, or was it just kind of like you went through it and you're like, yeah, I did it, cool, and then kept going?
I mean, I think the major takeaway that I had from it was just like a lot of self-motivating like work. Like I went to RISD, which is Rhode Island School of Design, and I mean, it's a pretty high caliber like program. So the workload was really intense. So it was like, you know, you're working on like multiple projects every week. There's like, you're pulling like all-nighters to get shit done. So I think if anything, it was just like prepared me for running my own business, I guess, or just like being self-motivated to be creative and do like get shit done, you know?
Right. It just got you motivated basically.
Yeah. And also I was around a lot of talented people. So it was like, you're kind of, your peers are like the cream of the crop when it comes to art, you know, just craftsmen and just like super talented. So it pushed me in that way. I think my one thing that, like, looking back at it now, and I think partially was just because it's a different time, but I would have liked to take away a little bit more like business 101, or just like more like how to apply your skills to real life once you graduate, kind of thing.
Instead of figuring that shit out on your own.
Yeah. Instead of just being like, I'm an artist, what the fuck do I do now? You know,
which
is a little
what
bit
most people do, I feel like.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I think now in this day and age, there is more resources. There's Skillshare, there's YouTube, there's like all these different things now where you can see people carving their own path a little bit more. Whereas like when I got out of school, I felt like I was like, well, I know artists that are doing the shit that I want to do, but I have no idea how they figured out how to do it.
It was the same with me in printing. It was kind of like when we first started, everybody you talked to, everything was a secret. Nobody would tell you anything.
Yeah.
And now with social media, it's like you can talk to anybody about anything. And the shops that, you know, were secretive about everything are the ones that are kind of like slowly dying out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's interesting. I mean, I wonder if it's just because the tools weren't available, or because it was like people didn't want to share the knowledge, you know? I mean, it's probably a little bit of both, but
yeah, I think a lot of them just, you know, when they don't share their knowledge, they're not getting any back either.
Right. No,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like when you when you're putting value out there, like people,
Right.
that's when you get, you know, I mean,
I mean,
even,
I don't want to sound like selfish about it or anything, but that's kind of like the whole reason for the whole thing is just kind of like you help somebody else and then you talk to them about whatever. But then when you actually run into shit that you need to know about too, you go to those people, you know, your peers and be like, hey, like, how did you guys figure this out? And then they're like
right.
eager to help you because you helped them when they needed it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I never have to think too hard about anything anymore because, you know, I'll try to work it out myself. But then when it comes to it, it's like I can just ask, and somebody that does it every single day can tell me exactly how they do it. So
Yeah, somebody's already had that problem. Like you're
right.
not gonna hit anything new that no one's ever, you know,
Yeah,
faced before.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you left art school and then you had the other job and then
Yeah, so that job was like more of a corporate job. I mean, it was good. It was fine. It was pretty easy. It was actually predominantly Flash illustration at the time, which was pretty funny. So I learned like animation and stuff. But it was like I was always doing my own shit on the side too.
mhm.
Like I had a little clothing company at that time, and then, whoa, dude, are you drinking out of this cup? Yeah, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Did you guys print these?
No,
Oh,
Steve
all
sent it
right.
to me though. You drew this, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
that's
funny that we're
hilarious.
drinking out of the same fucking cup.
Yeah, I had this one at the studio, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna put a water cup.
Yeah, I almost wore my my Motorhead Third Eye shirt too, so I'd be all third eye out for you.
Yeah, we've racked them up at this point. There's probably like, I mean, how many shirts have you guys printed?
Dude, so many.
Yeah, they're coming. I got like a couple more Steve wants to do on the
Yeah,
on
Steve hits me up probably once a month with a couple.
yeah,
So
we're cranking them. So
yeah, and then we're doing those masks now too. So
yeah, I know he was all excited about those.
I told him no, like the first 2 times.
Yeah,
He's like, "We do these masks." I was like, dude, I don't know if I want to get into doing masks."
yeah.
He's like, "Please," and I was
We
like,
told him the same
"God
thing.
damn it!" I was just like,
When he gets something in his head, man, it's just, you know, there's
Well,
no.
he's a great customer and he's
Oh,
super good
yes,
dude.
no,
Like
Steve's
he
awesome.
is ideally like one of the best customers that we have because it's that tier that you try to get with a customer when they trust you so much that they're
Yep.
just like literally he's always just sends me an email. He's like, here's the artwork, here's the sizes I need. I make him an invoice and a mock-up like immediately, send it to him, and he pays right then and there. Like
Yeah.
no, like 2 emails in the chain. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
done. And it's like, fuck yeah, Steve. Like I will make those masks for you.
No, I mean, it's the same way with us. Like we're, you know, he has some crazy ideas sometimes, but we're like, look, man, he trusts what we do. It's
Right.
rare that he's like, we send him a design or an idea and he's like, doesn't like it or whatever.
Yeah.
Because we just have that working relationship. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
those are the clients that you just go a little extra for, you know?
I know, for real.
Yeah.
I'll do basically mostly anything for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So what were you doing at Fairfax then? Were you were designing
So
some decks
then,
and stuff, right?
yeah, so then I found that job, which was like just a random opening I found on Craigslist. I think I was like looking around, and um, they had, so the guy who owned Fairfax, which for, you know, people listening, was surf and skate shop. It's like one of the oldest surf and skate shops in Virginia. Small
Well,
shop, but
the old building was super old, right? Because he ended up just making shirts with a year on them, and it was like, holy shit, that's
yeah,
old.
it's from the city. Yeah, they actually just had to move out of that building, which is a
Mm-hmm.
shame because it was like a historic landmark. But he owned a ski and snowboard like travel company. So like kids in college and high school would take trips up to Canada to ski and snowboard. So I was basically just like the creative director for like a few different companies, small, but like, you know, these small companies, and I would just do all the fucking everything from flyers to the website to the merch and like the t-shirts and stuff for the shop. I mean, the shop was the cool stuff. That was like the fun side of it,
Right.
where I could just like come up with t-shirt ideas, come up with skate deck ideas, like
Right.
illustrate everything. You know, that's how I learned how to like really like start producing. Like, I mean, I did some shirts and some merch and stuff before that, but like I got to do everything, you know,
Yeah.
because it was just
I
whatever
remember
you could
when
come up with.
we first started working together in that capacity, and it was kind of like cool because your artwork was always different than everybody else's because you had those like the big old school halftone dots
Yeah, yeah.
with everything.
That
So
was
it's just
like
like,
before. I was just joking with Freddie the other day. I was like, now all these fucking kids have it easy. They got these true grit brushes and all this shit. I had to like figure out all these bitmap techniques and stuff to get those halftones, you know, back in the
yeah.
day. That was one of the things that people would actually hit me up about is they would be like, yo, how do you do those halftones? And I would give
And
them
you're
like,
like the hard way.
yeah, I was like, there's like an 8-step tutorial to do these halftones, like if you want to do it. But yeah,
Yeah.
we did a lot of the halftones because that was also, you could get these like cool gradients and
Yeah.
you could make a 3-color print look like a 6-color print, you know?
Hmm.
So that was pretty cool. But so I did, so I did the Fairfax thing for a couple years and,
Do you have any of the decks that you made?
they're all here in the studio. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hung some of them up, but I still have a bunch of them just laying around too.
Yeah.
I just got my son a skate deck from there for Christmas. I got him one. And the shot, like I did a little mural for the new space, like over there.
Yeah, I saw that. Like the
did
front desk or whatever.
Yeah, I just did like a little thing around the desk.
Did you do the sign too above the counter? The like lit up one?
Mm-hmm. And that's just been like something I've been playing around with. I have this vendor now that does all this CNC stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, because I was getting wood cuts, the cutouts and stuff the paintings that I do, I was getting those laser cut for like a while. And then I found this other vendor that does CNC, and they're awesome. They'll CNC like anything, you know. I just send them like vector files on like 4x8 sheets, and they cut it and they'll deliver it in like 2 days.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. So then I was like, well, shit, I could start doing like some stuff for clients, like, you know.
Well, it's perfect for you because
stuff.
you know how to do the painting really well. So
Right. So then like, you know, and I just like it. That kind of stuff is nice because it's like, it gives me a break from sitting and staring at the computer all day, you know.
mm,
Like it's like I like to switch it up and be like, have a couple hands-on projects while I'm, you know, working on branding
yeah.
or design stuff
And I've
too.
been trying to do that a lot over the past year anyway, just to like get up from the desk because I feel like I'll sit at the desk till like 2 o'clock and I'm like, fuck, my back hurts. Like I don't want to sit here anymore.
Right.
So I've been like getting up and like printing things on the manual, like tags and, you know, just kind of like little projects, like making Upstate shirts and all that other stuff, just so I can get up and do something.
Yeah. Just so you feel like you're not sitting around all day, and also
Right.
just so you feel like you're breaking the day up, or you have different shit going on that you're, you know. For me, it
Yeah.
all comes back to like making shit, you know. I like to make stuff with my hands, like, so if I'm making a design or something, it's cool, but I want to see it on a shirt, or I want to see it on the wall, or I want to
Right.
like see it on a menu. Like just having something on the computer isn't that satisfying for me. It needs to be tangible, you know.
Right. How do you even go about like approaching the murals? Like, do you sketch that up first and then you kind of like do a shitload of math and figure out how it's laid out on like a massive wall or?
No. So like a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go to the site and then I'll take pictures and then I'll do Photoshop renderings.
Mm,
So I'll take a picture of the wall and then I'll mock up what the artwork's going to look like on the wall. In most cases, I can usually get, like, if it's like an office building or a space, I can get an elevation like drawing. So I have actual, like, I'll try to do somewhat to scale drawing,
right.
so that my dimensions of like whatever I'm doing on in Photoshop are pretty spot on to whatever the size of the wall is. And then I use a projector most of the time,
Mm,
to get my drawing up on the wall. There's plenty of times when I haven't been able to use a projector because of like weird hallways and all sorts of shit. But like,
what if you're doing like an outside wall? You still
yeah,
using projector?
it depends on the circumstances. No, I mean, if I can, yes, because it always just speeds the project up so much.
Right, right.
Um, and you'll like, that's a whole nother, I mean, you'll have artists who like are like, I don't use projector. It's like, it's a fucking tool. Like,
Right.
I
You
drew
already drew the thing in
I
the
drew
first
the
place.
drawing. Yeah, it's not like I'm projecting someone else's artwork,
Yeah.
but no, for me, I don't have any shame in like using a projector. That's just like a quicker way to get the job
Yeah. It
done.
just seems like
Yeah,
anything else you would use, you know?
yeah, exactly. I mean, if I guess it's one thing if you couldn't do it without it, you know.
Hmm.
But no, there's like other ways. I mean, sometimes I'll have to grid it out. You know, I'll make it.
That's what I was wondering is if you had to
Yeah.
grid it out.
And now there's like a bunch of artists use some different technique where they'll make like a bunch. And if you follow like any mural artists, or you might see they'll do like a bunch of like basically just like gibberish or squiggly lines and shit, and then take a picture with your phone of the wall. And then you can use like cheap iPhone apps and just basically overlay your artwork onto that picture. And then essentially what it does is it just gives you a grid. So you like, oh, where I made this squiggly mark over here is where the eye is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can freehand draw it on the wall based
Oh,
on,
that's pretty cool.
you know, looking at your phone or your iPad or whatever.
Right. Well, with you, it's a lot of like hard cut lines and stuff because I feel like that's just your style. So it's kind of seems like it'd be a lot harder to freehand all that.
Well, I mean, I use tape too. So
Right.
like I'll use tape for clean lines and stuff. I'll use tape. But it's just a mix. I mean, it's funny because like I was, you know, the first mural that I did that I probably considered to be like a kind of my first commercial project was like 2012, I think. And I did a pretty decent sized wall at the time for this company called Outer Loop. Do you remember Outer Loop?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, they managed a bunch of like hardcore bands and different stuff, and they had an
That's probably
office
why,
like yeah, and they would hire artists to do merch and different stuff. But they were super cool. But they happened to be in Silver Spring, Maryland, here, like pretty close to my house. And Freddie knew some of the guys over there. So long story short, they hired me to do a mural in their office, and I think I spent like 2 weeks on it probably. And it looked cool. Like it was exactly what they wanted. It looked just like the sketch or whatever.
Right.
Like the same, like look in retrospect, the mural was pretty small compared to like the walls I've done now. And it took me 2 weeks and probably would be like a 2-day project if I did it now.
Yeah, but you probably learned a shitload from that though.
That's what I did. Yeah, I did. And you learn from like literally every one I do, but the process is like, it gets so much faster because you go in, like I have, a couple artists, like I have one guy who I use like as my main assistant now if he's available. He's an artist, he does his own shit too, but like if he's on the project with me, it's like we don't even have to say anything to each other. We just like walk in and know exactly what to do and like knock shit out. And the clients are always like, whoa, like we thought this was going to take you like a week. And it's like, well, we got it down. Like we can do the same wall that would have taken me, 2 weeks. We can do it in 2 days. It's like,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the biggest wall you've done right now?
Probably like square footage. Well, I did a parking lot floor, which was probably the largest square footage. It was like almost 20,000 square feet or something, but that was on the pavement.
Yeah.
And that was like
So who hit you up to do that then?
That was a developer like in DC. They knocked down an old shopping center because they're redeveloping like the whole like a few blocks of land. They're building like new houses and new condos and stuff. And there was a shopping center that was like pretty run down. So they knocked down the whole shopping center, but they wanted to make the space something cool while construction was happening. So they wanted to like make it like a community space or something. So we went in and, put together like as simple of a design as I could, just because of the scale of it. Like you're not going to be able to do.
Right.
Also, it's on the ground, so you can't really. It's just kind of like abstract shapes. And
is that still there?
It's still there, I think, but it didn't hold up very well. Like the pavement was in pretty shitty shape, and I told them that like going into it, I was like, I can't promise like how long this is gonna stay, and they were like, well, we got some quotes to like repave it, and it was like, $75,000 to repave it, and they're like, we're not gonna do that, I was like, that's fine, but
we're not gonna do that, but we'll let you paint on it.
Yeah, we'll let you paint it, and I was like, fine. But we were literally like, I was taking just 5-gallon things of paint and just dumping them out. I think we went through like 35-gallon jugs of paint. Like
that's insane.
It was crazy. It was like $5,000 worth of paint.
Yeah. Didn't you do like something for like the Ravens or something?
I did. Yeah. That was pretty cool.
That one looked awesome.
I had a friend of mine that I went to high school with. She's been working in the Ravens marketing department for
that's how you do it.
A while now. Yeah. So she saw I did something for the Caps for the Washington Capitals, and she saw that and was like, we should get you to do something for the Ravens. I was like, hell yeah, let's do
Yeah,
it.
dude.
Yeah.
We had that conversation a little while ago where it's just like, it's all in who you know. Like, you got to have those connections.
Yeah, that it definitely helps. And I think like it's a slow play too, because it's just you know, one project at a time, those
Right.
connections too. It's like,
So what was the Ravens one? Was that like a rollout cart thing?
yeah, so we had, that was a funny project actually, because initially they hit me up about putting a mural in a space in Baltimore. There was like a food court, kind of like a, you know, now there's like a lot of these like pop up, basically just like a big area where there's a bunch of different food vendors,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you know, they're more popular now, I guess. But Baltimore's had a bunch for a while, and they were renovating one, and they had asked the Ravens to do some sort of thing. So we were going to put a Ravens themed mural in that space. So it wasn't like the Raven space; it was this other vendor's like
Mm-hmm.
space. But I was kind of the Ravens were my client, not these other guys.
Right.
So I put together the artwork. Well, one, I got to go up and like visit the Ravens like headquarters and stuff. It was fucking awesome. I got to go through, like, see the locker rooms, check out all the stuff, like eat lunch, like we ate lunch with the players in the cafeteria and
Oh,
stuff.
really?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, not with them, but like they were eating lunch in there when
Fucking
I was
high
sitting.
fives and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. No, but like it was cool. So I got to like tour it, and their team, their like marketing and design team's pretty awesome. And so they were like all stoked. I was like, yeah, sweet. So I put the design together, I sent it to him, and one of the creative directors just like wrote me back like one sentence after I sent him the artwork. He's like, I fucking love it. I was like,
That's
yes.
the best thing you
It's like,
can.
that's the best email you get from a client.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
yeah. So I was like, hell yeah, like let's do this. And then so like then and it was, everything was like moving fast. It was like all excited. And then a couple like weeks had gone by, and I think I posted like a little like teaser on Instagram. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, you know, I didn't show the artwork, but I showed like a little thing. I was like, you know, working with the Ravens. And I tagged the market that the mural is supposed to go into. And then I got like an hour later, I got a DM from the market, and they were like, yeah, we appreciate if you untag us from the image, because we have a lot of changes we want to see artwork. And like I was kind of like, oh, okay, like news to me, like okay, like so I was just like, I think I took the post down, and then I was like, I emailed my clients at the Ravens, and I was like, hey guys, just so you know, like I got this message. I don't know if you talked to the people at the market, like what's going on, but, and they were like, oh, we're so sorry. Like we'll connect with them and see what's going on. And then like, you know, nothing kind of happened for like a couple of weeks. So I
That's
like,
always the worst too when it's a couple weeks. It's not like a
yeah,
day or two. You're
yeah, then
just sweating it for fucking
well,
3 weeks.
I'm like, shit, like this is like, it seems like everyone was pumped. Now what's going on, you know, whatever. But this was like such a cool moment, because like what ended up happening was basically the Ravens wrote me back, and they were like, yeah, like I guess the market really isn't like, they don't like the artwork. They think it's like too aggressive or something, or like they want to like, they're like basically they want to like put it, there was like I guess a wall that I had did out that was going to be on, and they were like thinking about moving it to another wall that was basically just like in the back in the corner of the space or
That
something.
sucks.
And so the Ravens were like, yeah, fuck it. Like, we don't want to do it anymore with them. They're like, we like the artwork how it is. We're just going to do something else. And I was like, hell yeah. Like, we'll do whatever. I was like, fuck those
Yeah.
guys. Like, let's do something
Fuck
else.
the
Like,
market.
I was like, you're the Ravens. You can get a fucking wall in Baltimore wherever you want. Like, you know?
Yeah. Everybody's gonna love it no matter what
And
it
so
is.
then, yeah. So then they were like, well, what do you think we should do? And I was like, well, we could do like a live painting kind of thing, or we could do something else. And so I ended up having another buddy of mine, has this like event production company. So I hit him up and I was like, can you fabricate these walls? And I sent him some drawings, and he was like, yeah, sure. This is how much it's going to cost. They built these like badass, like movable walls on casters with like lights in them and everything. And I was like, yeah, I was sent it to the Ravens. I was like, here's how much it's going to cost. This is what we can do. And they were like, this is great. We'll have you paint it at this fan event. And then we'll have you paint it at the home opener tailgate. And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Like, you know,
Right.
and then the wall was on these different panels that was movable. So then they would just roll the wall out at every home game for the rest of the season. So it was great because then people would just tag me in photos like all year
Yeah,
long.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so it was
cool because
great.
you can move
Yeah,
it around and use it whenever you want now. It's not
exactly.
in some
So
market somewhere.
exactly, yeah. So I think it worked out better,
Yeah,
for everybody. And then that, then they have it. Hopefully it should hold up pretty well for them to use again this year too.
it's awesome. That's super cool.
Well, if they have football,
Yeah, for real. They'll just put it in the empty stadium in the stands.
yeah, maybe just put it out on the street.
So you were at Fairfax, and then you were like, I want to do Bright Light.
Well, it didn't exactly happen like that, but yeah, I was like, I'm ready to like Fred. So Freddie and I, we went to high school together. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, so we've known each other for like 20 something years, and we had been like he was doing he did like a media and graphic design kind of stuff in school, in video actually. It was more like media and video production stuff. But then he knew how to code. Like he had learned like HTML and PHP and stuff. And so after college, we were just doing like side projects together. Like he would get a client and I'd help him with some design, and then I'd get a client and he'd help me with some code. And so we kind of like, we're just kind of like freelancing on the side of our jobs. He worked for a TV company in like their design and marketing. We kind of just decided, we were like, well, like we've been doing a bunch of projects together. The skill sets are a nice complementary to each other because he could do shit I couldn't do and vice versa.
Right.
So we were like, well, we kind of just decided to make it official. So I think we technically, I mean, we were working together. I think I quit Fairfax in 2010. I think that sounds about right. I think September 2010, I was like officially out on my own. And I was like busy enough that I had shit going on that I was like, I'm ready to just kind of figure it out. And then I think we officially started Bright Light in like early 2011. So it's probably like April or May of 2011, where we like filed an LLC and started like a real thing.
Yeah.
But
It's
we had
definitely
been
nice to
doing
have
stuff.
somebody as a partner that does kind of like opposite things so that you can help each other out rather than compete with everything.
Yeah. And I think like, I mean, if anybody came to me and asked me now about starting a business, that's the first thing I'd tell them is like, find a business partner who's really good at all the shit that you suck at. Because that's like, if you're partnering up with someone who's doing the exact same stuff, like you will be good at that and that's great, but you're going to be trying to fill so many other holes. You know what I mean?
Right. And you might have difference of opinion too, and then end up fighting about shit later.
Yeah. And then you end up caring about the same stuff. Whereas if like you have one person who can focus on A and another person who can focus on B,
right.
And be the best at B and be the best at A, then like that's where I feel like you're really gonna excel,
Yeah, I feel like I talk to Freddie quite a bit actually, and I feel like we're always just talking about like horrible fucking movies, like shark movies, and how he's terrified. And
he could talk all day about that shit.
Yeah,
every day he comes in, he's like, I watched this movie last night. I'm like, what is it? I mean, just literally today he was telling me he watched some cult movie last night.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a walking encyclopedia.
Yeah,
that's where Mixtape Massacre came from.
Right.
Like,
well, that's what I want to hear about too. I want to hear about how that whole thing. You were just like, oh fuck it, let's make a board game.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So we started Bright Light. We were just like basically, we were taking whatever fucking business we could get. Like we were just kind of like trying to figure it out. I mean, we both liked like, branding and building stuff. And like I said, he was good at coding and like had a video background, so we could do some of that. I was like more into the art stuff, but I wasn't really getting a lot of clients that were looking to pay high dollar for like illustration work or lowbrow style artwork, So it was like, we were kind of just like, we were, for a while, we were kind of finding our niche is like just doing more like not super corporate stuff all the time, but like just sort of general like graphic design, web design, branding stuff,
Right.
And kind of just figuring out how to run our business, like how to fucking pay taxes, how to file shit, how to just
the worst part of it.
Yeah, just making all the mistakes, right? Learning by making mistakes. But yeah, then we got to a point where like we were always busy and we were in business and we were getting like constant referrals, So that, I guess that meant we were doing, something right, because people kept referring us, and we were like small enough that people would call us and we just pick up the phone. Where I feel like
Yeah.
in like the design industry is like you're either working with an agency who just like, you know, is expensive as shit, and you're not really talking to anybody who's, you know, you're not getting creative directors to just pick up the phone or whatever. You're getting like lower level designers and stuff.
I feel like that's super important to a lot of people, though. It's like with us, it's like if you
Right.
want work done, you call, you're going to talk to either me or two other people. So,
Exactly. Yeah. And then people value that. Like they want to know, like when they need something, you're going to be there and you're going to answer the phone.
right, exactly.
And we were there and we, you know, responsive and doing, you know, just working our ass off. So, but yeah, so mixtape. So I mean, we had always talked about like doing our own shit, but like we hadn't come up with any ideas. I mean, you know, Freddie and I had talked about like, I mean, he's written screenplays. He talked about making comic books and doing shit, but like nothing just ever came to fruition. And we were like busy doing client work. And I don't even, I mean, one day basically he came in and was like, I have this idea for a board game. And I was pretty much like, what the fuck are you talking about? We're not making a board game, you know, like,
That's a step backwards.
yeah. And like MJ, the girl who works for us, you know, we're all kind of like, well, what do you mean? Like, and then, you know, and it was, I guess like the idea was basically one, there was like no like slasher board games. There was like a ton of like zombie stuff. And there was a ton of like, more classic, like vampire or like Frankenstein, but there wasn't like, fucking, I mean, there was a couple like slasher games, but then nothing that was really like what we kind of had envisioned. And the other like real big incentivizer for us was that Kickstarter had like this crazy board game like section that just like tons of these games were getting, like that was like one of the biggest sort of like undercover areas in Kickstarter was just these board games, and people were really like backing a lot of these startup games. And we were looking through a lot of the games. I remember like the thing that kind of put me over the top was like, we're looking through these games on Kickstarter, and I was like, we could make a better game than a lot of these games. And they're like raising.
That's what gets you fired up.
Yeah, I was like, these guys are raising $100,000 like with this game. I was like, it looks like shit. Like, and we didn't like. I'll be honest, I didn't know that much about games. I was just looking at the design.
Right. Well, that's your role.
Yeah, I was like, I'm looking at the graphics. I'm looking at the production, like the value of what they're putting out. Like, it looks like they didn't have a proper graphic designer.
They were probably just a dude who knew how to
whatever.
make the game, but they didn't have the guy to make the
Like,
design.
Yeah, like the mechanics of their game are probably good, but if it looks like shit, then to me, it's like I would never.
Who's gonna pick it up off the shelf? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and Freddie was like, you know, he had played more games and he had like some game nights with friends, and he was like, all these games that his friends were trying to get him to play were like, you know, they're taking like 2 hours to learn the rules. You know, he's like, or they just have like these super, you know, intricate rules, and he's kind of like, you know, there's like, people don't want to sit down for an hour to learn the rules to play a game. Like,
right.
I agree. Once you get into it, it's probably pretty fun, but like, there's got to be some sort of, you know, an easier entry level where you can have fun and get like into the theme of the game without, you know, dedicating a couple hours to figuring it out.
I feel like a lot of people that want to play a game like that are like, you know, drunk friends at the house that are just like, fuck it, you guys want to play a game? And then they pull it out and do it. It's like, you don't want to fucking learn about it forever first.
Right. And that was like, that was kind of like our idea going into it. We're like, let's make something that's like totally like 80s slasher inspired, like just dripping with like nostalgia and references to like fun shit we loved growing up. And then the other thing was like, let's make it easy to play. And then let's make it like the artwork and the design, like, you know, fun and badass. Right. And I feel like we did a pretty good job with the first game. Like, it's, you know, and then obviously like once we started to figure out like the production and like the first game we made, we used, you know, a different production company that we don't use now. Like we probably paid the same amount for 500 units that we could probably get 2,000 units now with like, you just learn, it's the same thing. Like you learn all, you go through all the shit, you make all the mistakes. And then,
you got to make the mistakes first.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you actually figure out how to like I could see making the artwork and thinking of the idea, but like actually figuring out the mechanics of a game, did you just kind of make that whole thing up or?
Yeah, I mean, we kept it pretty simple. Like we said, we didn't want to make like anything that was too crazy. So we made something that was easy to learn how to play. And then we based it on, like, obviously we were playing other games and looking at other mechanics and stuff,
Right.
to get ideas, and then just kind of wrapping our theme around it. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot of trial and error. I mean, like we probably worked on it for like 6 months, just like wireframing like shit. No, like no artwork, no design, just like
Right.
fucking
Just the
around with
game.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, just we would get like lunch, and then we'd all sit around for an hour at lunch and like play through it. And every time we play through it, we'd be like, oh, okay, like we should make this, or we'd all come up with ideas on like how to make it better, or just how to like figure out little parts where it got weird, and then we just play it and play it until it got smoother and smoother. Um, so it's just like, and then once we felt comfortable with it, we like printed a couple prototypes, and then we'd have game nights where we just get a bunch of pizza and a bunch of beer and invite friends over to play test it. And
Hmm.
then people would be like throwing in their different ideas or telling us what they liked, what they didn't like, just saying like, this part was kind of cool, but this part was annoying. And then we would just like reiterate and keep going, until we
So what do
felt
you what do you do now though? Are you just like, I know you do a Kickstarter like about every year. Is it just updates to the same game and different decks and stuff, or?
well. So last year we did a Kickstarter for a sequel, like a brand new game. It's still like the Mixtape Massacre universe, but
Right.
it's another standalone game. Um, so we have the first game, and then we have an expansion for the first game, and then we did some booster packs for the first game, which are just like new characters, kind of like
Hmm.
small add-ons. And then
Well, I
last year
saw I saw on the Kickstarter you had like if you pay a certain amount, wherever you get to be a character in the game.
we had that a couple times. Yeah, we've had that with the first Kickstarter, and then we had that with um, I guess we've done it with like two or three times with different Kickstarters. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's
That's
pretty funny. Like,
that's pretty awesome.
yeah. I try to limit it because like I don't want to be drawing a fucking bunch of people into the game, but it's also like it should be limited because you can get in the game. And I think
Right. It's
like
more
it's
limited
funny.
edition.
We had it with the first Kickstarter that we did, and that was like when we were pretty, when we didn't have like a big following and it wasn't really that well known. And we ended up like towards the end, like a friend of a friend, I think, bought it. And we were like, oh shit, like they bought it, they're gonna be in the game. And then now we put it up, and it was like with this last Kickstarter, we had one available where you could buy into the game, and it was gone in like the first 2 days or something.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely like the prize one to get.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we have two games and then a couple expansions. Like the expansion, the Kickstarter we have right now going is an expansion for the second game.
Hmm.
And I think, now what, like, I don't know, we now like it's as a like for a long time it was like a side hustle, it was just
Yeah, I was
like
gonna say it's got to be a bigger part of the business now, right?
it is, yeah. And like for a while it was like we were like working on it, but we're like, shit, like we gotta do our real work too.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, how much time can we actually spend on this until it's hurting us, like whatever. And I think like we've like we've done a good job of like dedicating time to it, but also not getting lost in it. And then now it's actually like we're finally starting to get to a point where we're actually making some money from it, and
Right.
it's like become a legitimate thing in itself, where
Hmm.
we can afford to say like, hey, we can dedicate time to this, because it's a piece of our business now. It's
Right.
not just
Exactly.
like so
Well, you
that's
guys are
that's
doing a
really
lot of
cool.
shows and stuff too, right? Like cons and
We do a
game
few.
things.
um I wouldn't say a lot. I think like we would. I mean, there's obviously none now. We were supposed to do Awesome Con last weekend in DC, and then obviously that's not happening. But before this, we would do like a few a year. We would do like probably 3 or 4, maybe a year. So I wouldn't say we're doing a lot, just because
I
I
mean,
mean
even three or
I
four
can't.
is a good amount just to get out
Yeah,
there.
yeah. We would do like we sponsor an event in LA every year called Slashback Video, which is cool. And that's
Yeah.
not even really a con. It's more just like this it's an experiential event, I'd say, but like it gets a really pretty high profile like guest list comes through, and it's just like a cool event that we've gotten to be a part of. So we do that, and then we do Awesome Con in DC, and then we do a couple other like local ones. Like we haven't really traveled too far to do them or anything like
Yeah.
that. Um
That slashback thing looked awesome though. It looks like whoever does it put a shitload of time into it, and they even made like the main character like as a
Yeah,
costume.
yeah. The slashback, those guys. That's Ryan Turek does that, and there's a team of people out there that do it. But it's pretty cool, and they've like grown it each year, and they've done a good job, like starting with with a cool idea, and then growing it each year. And so we've
Right.
sponsored that from the beginning, which is cool. And we go out there just to like have it's also a good trip. Like we all get to go out to LA and
Right. It's the same with us and
yeah.
ISS Long Beach. It's like nobody goes out there to fucking work. I mean, you go because it's a work event, but it's really just
Yeah.
like
It's
it's that one time
networking.
a
It's
year to like talk to other shops and just fucking hang out.
yeah, and that's awesome. And we did Creative South too, just like as a design team for a few years. We did like 2 or 3 years in a row, and I mean I like doing that stuff too because it's just like I don't know. I mean I'm probably more nerdy about like the design community side of things
Right.
than like Freddie. He's like he knows more people in like the horror realm, and like that's his realm, and I know more people in like the design side and the art
Right.
side, which is cool though because it kind of gives us we're tapping into these two worlds. But yeah, I mean just going to those kind of things is like you see your people, you connect, and then you just get motivated. You feel like you're in the real world. You're not just like talking to people through the computer all the time and shit.
Yeah, it kind of just like again, it motivates you to do other things and talk to other people that are doing similar paths as you and stuff. So
Yeah, definitely. The motivation's a huge part of it.
yeah, it's like I was supposed to go to Crop this year, and then that's not happening.
That's
and,
right. I think you hit me up to ask if I was going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Crop's another one that I would love to go to.
Yeah. Well, this was like the first year where I was like, oh, I'll do something other than screen printing.
Right. Yeah.
And then it get fucking ruined. So
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Majority of our clients have been fine, figuring out ways to work virtually, or some of them have even been like turning a little bit more towards digital. So they're needing our services more because
right.
they need to like, open up an e-shop or start focusing more on their marketing online and shit. But like we've had some clients that, restaurants and businesses or retail shops and stuff that like it sucks, like there's not much you can do. But
I feel like a lot of them too are trying to really focus on like branding and marketing right now anyway to kind of like drum up some business.
you have to, I mean, because that's how you engage is
Mm-hmm.
like you said before, it's like you have to offer some value. Like if you can't, if you just disappear, you're fucking done.
Yeah.
You have to find a way to connect with people and still offer some value in whatever industry you're in.
Yeah. It kind of worked out I mean, I don't want to say it worked out, but like it kind of worked out for us because we had like a ton of new equipment coming in.
Yeah, right. I saw you guys have been setting up. So it's kind of like a little bit of downtime for you to like.
Yeah, so like right now with our schedule, normally we're like on a 10 to 15 business day turnaround and we're knocking stuff out super quick. So we're like ahead a lot right now. So we just kind of like shut down for a week, got the old equipment out, got the new stuff in, and it was kind of like, if we were slamming right now, like super busy, it would have been a nightmare to try to get all that done.
Right.
And then play catch up on jobs. But it worked out really well to where we barely had to do that at all. Like there was maybe like 6 jobs when the new press was in, and it was like, all right, we got to get these done on like Monday and Tuesday so that we're not late. But other than that, it worked out awesome. So now we have like a whole new shop basically of like, I mean, we got 2 really big pieces of equipment. So for me, it's kind of like a huge upgrade. And now I kind of have my dream shop and, it's.
Yeah. So what did you guys, I mean, I don't know, obviously the equipment and stuff, but like what did you do recently? I mean, you bought a whole new press, right?
We got a 14 color press.
Yeah.
So we were just running 2 8 colors for the longest time because most designs are under 6.
Right.
And if they're over 6, a lot of times they're like a process print that you can make with 6 or less.
Yeah.
But we ended up getting into over the past like 5-6 years, like more and more simulated process prints where we're trying to make like images, full color images kind of things.
Yep.
And you always end up doing jobs where it's like, oh man, I wish I had like 2 more colors or like 3 more colors. So like with skin tones, It's like you could be like, oh, it's just this one color, like flesh tone, but it's not. It's like 3 or 4 different tones of that same color that kind of make it up. And it's nice to be able to add more. So I really wanted to get the 14 color and the specific press. Like I ended up going for a bigger press than I normally would have, not just color wise, but like just size and capability wise, because our industry is going more and more digital. So if within like 5 years or so, I end up wanting to get like a hybrid. So it's like we still screen print the underbase, but then you digitally print the top.
Yeah, like that direct to garment stuff.
Yeah, but now they do, like I said, it's like a hybrid. So they put it on the automatic press. So you're still screen printing the hard part, like the underbase that sticks to the shirt. And then they digitally print on top of that. So with this press, I can do that. I just have to buy that like attachment. So I bought this press to kind of like future proof a little bit to where if we want to do that a little bit later, we can. So like some of this crazy stuff that artists give us, so they're just like, it's like, 25 colors and whatever we can easily do digitally. But
because I don't, I obviously, a shit ton more about printing than I do, but like I've, followed that sort of industry, I guess, since I've been making merch or designing stuff.
Right. Well, you kind of have to.
Yeah, exactly. And so like I've like dabbled a little bit with the direct to garment stuff, and it's just like, it's just, and I know every year I hear like the quality's getting better, and it makes sense when you say like, okay, you could screen print underneath and then put some digital stuff on top, because then you're getting the quality of a screen printed on the base layers.
Right. The base layer is the hardest part.
Exactly. That's what sticks to the fucking shirt. Like, I've seen so many direct to garment shirts that like just feel like an iron-on print.
It's like a sticker.
Yeah, it's a sticker. It's just not the same. And I've tried to do it. Like I dabbled a little bit with like a drop ship thing, and I tried to do some like t-shirts, and then I just couldn't get behind it because I'm like, I can't sell these shirts to people and feel good about it. Like,
that's like something we've been kind of working a lot with recently is we get these customers, like these comedians and stuff that, they think of a funny joke or a funny thing and they want to make a shirt. So they've just been going to some of the, I don't want to name names, but they go to these companies that just do on-demand printing. Well, most of the time when you hear on-demand, they don't say it's direct to garment, but 9 times out of 10 it's direct to garment. So
100%. That's exactly what it is.
So they think they're just getting a shirt. Like they don't know the difference between DTG and a screen print. They just think, okay, I'm getting a shirt. Well, t-shirt. A lot of times it's just like a shitty made direct to garment shirt, and then the customer gets it and they're like, yes, it's cool, but it's not that great. But
they probably paid $30 for it too.
Right. They pay premium for it because they're getting like one shirt made.
Right.
But what we've been doing with a lot of these customers, like we've been doing a ton of stuff for like Ryan Sickler lately, and we just run a pre-sale store. So every 2 weeks we print what's sold.
Right.
So we make the store, it's still kind of like somewhat on demand, but you just have to wait a little bit longer for it. But you're getting a way better product in the end because you're getting like an actually screen printed shirt.
Yeah.
So he's been selling so much stuff that we ended up having to do it once a week now.
That's
so basically
awesome.
like every Friday we end up printing like all his stuff and shipping it out. Like, and I think we shipped like over, 200 items every week basically.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's like the perfect way to go. And I know a lot of artists who do merch who know enough about it to like do it right. We'll do, pre-sales like Alex Party and all these people. They'll do like a pre-sale and then you cut it off.
Right.
And that's fine. I mean, you can run a pre-sale for a couple weeks and then you get your thing, and then maybe you order some overages and you throw them on your website or whatever.
Right. Exactly.
But like, the regular average artist or designer or whatever can't afford to buy a couple hundred shirts and then just keep them in their garage. It just fucking sucks. So it's like finding some middle ground, like what you guys are talking about, is if you can nail that down.
So I mean, like right now, like we would make a store for somebody, it doesn't cost them anything. It's just for us, we need the person to be well known enough to
they
actually
need to be able
items.
To sell some shit. Exactly.
Right. So we get people all the time that come to us, they're like, I want to make a store, and then realistically they sell like 12 shirts over like a 3-week period, and realistically, business wise, I mean, I'd love to help you out, but it's not really doing anything for us. But if you're pushing the shirts and you're selling a shitload of stuff, it works awesome for both people, because like I said, they put nothing in. 9 times out of 10 they're not even doing the art. We are. Then every week he gets cut a check for, thousands of dollars of stuff that got sold. So
And then yeah,
I mean, it's
exactly.
huge. It's just like I said, it's different markets, different ways to find it, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm always a sucker too for like the water base or discharge prints, like shit
yeah,
that that just feels like it's super soft. You don't even know it's there. Like
yeah.
it's
And
just
it's like the stuff for like Third Eye. We've been trying to do a lot of that. We've been trying to discharge underbase everything, and then putting like soft plastisol on top, so you get the best of both worlds. Like you're getting
right.
the soft. Basically, all the prints feel like they're printed on a white T-shirt.
Yeah, with the bright colors, but
Right. So you
still,
get the
yeah, yeah,
opacity with the bright
yeah,
colors, and then you get the softness of the underbase. But
yeah, yeah. No, that's cool.
yeah, yeah. So what do you have any like kind of like favorite podcasts or I don't know, like people on social media that are inspiring you right now?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, I listen to the podcasts that I listen to are mostly more like business shit.
Mm-hmm.
Podcasts like I like Matt Gondek's podcast, which is an artist podcast. It's called Clean Break. That's just like interviews with different artists.
Mm-hmm.
The idea behind it is like artists kind of showing how you can make a career out of being an artist. It's not necessarily talking about like how to paint or how to fucking draw or whatever. It's like
Right.
how to be a working artist and professional modern day artist using whatever Instagram and
Mm-hmm.
YouTube and going out and meeting people and stuff. And then I like Long Story Short. Have you ever heard that? That's
Oh.
you remember Drama? Like
Yeah.
Robin
Yeah.
Big, Drama. Yeah, he's got a podcast, and it's really good. I've been listening to that podcast like since the jump. It started a few years ago, and
What's he even doing now? Is he still like doing
he's
that
still
clothing line or whatever?
yeah he still runs that Young and Reckless clothing line, but he's kind of become like more like this like entrepreneurial kind of like hustler
Mm-hmm.
dude. But he gets some interesting people on there, and it's mostly like sort of like modern day business entrepreneur, like kind of just business minded stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But lately I've been mostly like watching like woodworking and shit on YouTube.
Dude, I
um,
do that too. That's
yeah,
like my
like
weird side thing.
like the DIY thing I'm really into right now is just like I think like the quarantine dad is just taking over. Like I'm building a treehouse right now for my kids, so I've been watching a bunch of fucking treehouse videos.
Yeah. The
Just like
worst
making
is the
making
worst is like
yeah.
I have like the bug that my dad basically gave me where I just want to fucking mow my lawn as much as humanly possible.
Oh, love
So
the
like
yard work.
the
Yup,
funny
yard
thing
work.
is like I looked that shit up on YouTube. Like I'll be like, what's the like basically tips on like creating like an amazing yard? And
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
now I fucking go to YouTube and like my feed is full of like
Just
just
all
super
yard
nerdy
work.
grass working people.
Dude, the algorithms are crazy. Like you watch like two videos and they're like, oh, well, now all you give a fuck about is mowing your lawn.
Grass.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like
like,
these
well,
old dudes putting sand and shit in their yard. And it's like I like give me something else once
yeah,
in a
you're like,
while.
you
Like
can mix it up a little bit. Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
3 rows of fucking grass.
It's hilarious. Yeah. I got my son, I got him into, do you ever watch the, I like to make stuff videos on YouTube?
I think
There's this
so,
guy,
yeah.
Bob, he just like builds different shit, but like it's cool because he'll do like straight up like woodworking DIY projects, and then he also does like Arduino builds and like he'll make like a lightsaber, or he'll make like cosplay shit. Like it's a
That's
little bit of
awesome.
everything. But
Yeah.
I got my son really into like there was like a couple like where he made like a lightsaber, like a legit
Yeah.
model lightsaber
I
that like
watched the
makes noise and shit.
Adam Savage has a show like that where he just like
Yeah.
does like 1 day builds and like makes shit.
Wait, is that the dude from No Jumper?
Mythbusters?
Oh, Mythbusters. Okay, okay, that's a
Yeah,
different
the
guy. Yeah,
redhead guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I've
yeah.
been
So the
watching This Old House too.
oh, I love This Old House. That's
Well,
classic.
they have like a streaming service now where you can watch like all of them, like all the
Hmm.
old ones.
All
So
the
I've been like,
archived episodes. Yeah.
yeah, I've been going through and watching that. And I've actually like talked to Kevin O'Connor before, like about
Really?
like print stuff or whatever. So yeah, I've kind of gotten like in that niche of like working with a bunch of
That's
contractors and
right. Yeah,
stuff.
you do a lot of contractor stuff
Dude, a
too.
ton. Yeah.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I identify a lot with it. I mean, like I did all sorts of shit growing up. Like
Yeah.
I did house painting, and I worked for some contractors as just like a fucking lackey. And
Hmm.
I worked one summer for an electric company. So like I like to dabble, so I can identify with that
I'm
world.
the exact same way. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like my dad's like kind of like a handyman carpenter, so like I learned a ton of shit from him. But I also own like a super old house that like I've completely gone through and like replaced everything and done a lot of it myself and with your dad. So it's kind of like you just get somewhat interested in that stuff. And
Oh yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, if you're able to do that stuff yourself, it's so rewarding.
yeah.
And my dad was like, when we bought that, or not bought, but when we took over that old gallery, my dad and I were like the ones who renovated the whole place.
Mm-hmm.
We built custom cabinets and built out all the framework and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah,
it's like with our shop too. Like I own that whole building, and basically all the work that happens in it, like most of the time it's during the day while I'm actually doing my own job. But I hire my dad basically to like renovate everything.
yeah. So what did you guys? You recently like knocked down some walls. Did you?
Dude, yeah.
What are you doing over there?
And we're just going to make more upstate office. I say offices, and like probably a third of it's going to be offices. The rest is just going to be fuck around space. Like we want to put like like huge TVs on the wall and put Xboxes in. And
Yeah.
like a chunk is going to be like a full kitchen where like we can make lunch, and maybe like on Fridays, somebody brings like a lasagna or some shit, and we'll just like hang out. But I kind of just want to make, I mean, it's my fucking shop. It's my business. I just want to make it like my dream space. Like I want to have my shop is like awesome as I can make it. I want to make the chill space as cool as I can make it. It's like, fucking, why not? Like if you're busy enough, you have a profitable business, just fucking make it awesome. There's no reason not to.
100%. That's what we're doing right now. Like we I'm putting in like a new little wall area in our conference table. I'm doing like a rustic wood wall, and then I'm gonna mount the TV on it. And like like Freddie and I were just joking the other day. We're like, we have like a TV now, and he's like, I don't think that TV's big enough, man. I'm like, yeah, we should probably get a new TV. It's like the 65-inch, we can get like, it's like, but yeah, it's like, and we do the same shit. We're joking about like, we have a roll-up door at this space now, which is.
Well, you guys bought a bunch of arcade games recently, didn't you?
Yeah, we have we have like 6 arcade games here. We never play them, but it's like, why the fuck not?
Yeah. I've been like scouring Craigslist for either the Terminator, I think it's Terminator Salvation, like huge arcade game where it's got the big like Terminator on top.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Or the like Time Crisis 3, which is the one with the foot pedal where you like let go of the foot pedal and he ducks down and comes back up. Like
Those
I really want to.
Huge.
I know, but I want one really bad.
Yeah.
Because I remember being a kid and like going to the bowling alley and they had that game and I fucking loved it.
Yeah, well, there was go to the bowling alley near my house. Like there's still a huge sign there. It was a duck pin bowling alley. They had arcade in it. Me and my brother used to walk up there.
Yeah.
But the ones we have are like the one-up arcades. They're
I mean, it's still cool.
They're like, they're cool. Yeah. But they're not like the real retro cabinet.
A lot of the ones they find are like probably a good 5 hours away and they're like $6,000.
Yeah. I was playing, we were at an arcade this last summer and at the beach at the Eastern Shore, and I took my son and we were playing like, it was like some brand new Turtles game, Ninja Turtles. And it was fucking huge cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a 4-player massive cabinet. Game was sick. And it was for sale. And the guy was like asking like $6,500 or something for it. I was like texting Freddie. I was like, yo, it's for sale. But I was, joking. There's no way I could justify that. But
yeah, I don't really. I mean, when shit like that comes up and I really want it, I usually just end up saying fuck it and I buy it, and then I'll regret it later. But
yeah.
But at that point, you've done so much work to get it in your spape and get it where you want it that you're just like, whatever it is what it is. It's a write-off now.
Yeah. No, the other thing is that we've talked about is like making because like we've made some of the retro pies and stuff before, and you can build like, we could just build a badass cabinet and like paint it and do like our own whole
that would actually be awesome because you could make it
right. We could just build it ourselves and then put a retro pie in there. We'd have all the fucking games in there,
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty awesome.
It should be pretty sweet.
Yeah, like I already bought basically on last Black Friday, I bought like 2, they're actually like right next to me. I bought like 2 60-inch TVs, and I've already bought like 1 Xbox. I need to buy 1 more.
So you got the whole
and like surround system. It's all ready. It's like I'm just waiting for the fucking room.
Yeah.
And I bought like a new couch for my house, and I took my huge sectional like already down to the shop. It's like
That's awesome.
waiting to go in there. So I've
Yeah.
been like little by little buying everything. I mean, the whole shop renovation is just like out of my own pocket. So
Well, what's the status of it now? Is it still in progress?
yeah, like we basically the first like
Like you
week
got to
or
frame it
two.
all out and build it
Yeah,
and
the
stuff?
first week or two when Corona happened, we were like really slow because everybody was in like freak out mode,
I saw
for
you
those
guys
first 2
throwing
weeks.
fucking
Dude, yeah, that was the best
sledgehammers
part.
through the wall. Yeah.
So I called a company that got like a dumpster. Like we went through two 30-yard dumpsters.
Jesus.
And basically I just told all my staff, I was like, hey, if you want to have, instead of like printing for 2 days, if you just want to like throw hammers and like rip
Yeah.
shit down and get out frustrations, let's do it. So pretty much everybody at the shop just was like chipped in, and it was amazing. Like I feel like if me and my dad did it, it would have taken us like a week or two to like
Yeah,
get
man.
it all done. Everybody at work just like took a section and we just like destroyed it all, got
Demo
it all
day.
cleaned up in like 2 days.
Yeah, that's
It was
awesome.
amazing. So now my dad is just like doing gonna frame it all in and
The finished work. Yeah.
finish work. But
Yeah.
that's one thing with my building and being so old is it's got like it had a ton of old like electric in it, like super sketchy stuff. Like
Yeah.
literally there's wires in the wall that like no junction box, no fucking wire nuts, no nothing. They just like
Yeah.
twisted shit together and
Yeah.
pushed it back in the wall.
In the all wooden building.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
just pushed in the wall. Like
Yeah.
no nothing.
Fuck.
So we went through and literally eliminated all of that. So like my entire shop is almost all new electric anyway.
Yeah.
But we did everything in conduit, like on the outside of the wall. So there's no like chance of mice or anything like messing with it. Because that's my biggest fear is the amount of money and time I've put into that building is just like it burning to the ground. So I've taken like every precaution to like make sure that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So now officially when we gutted that, there's zero electric in any walls. Like it's all brand new. So that for me was like, it's the day we like cut the panel and got all the wiring out was like, I felt like 100 pounds off my shoulders.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh fuck. Like, thank God that's never going to happen.
And you guys just put that roll up door in there too, right?
Yeah, we had to,
awesome.
we had no choice
to get the equipment in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like when
that's cool to have anyways though.
Yeah. Well, the thing is we're not even going to be able to use it ever again as like a door because the press is right in front of it. So like if we have the only thing we can use it now for is air conditioning. Like in the summer,
just open up, have like feel like you're outside or whatever. Yeah, nice days.
So when we built our loading dock originally, it was like all the way to the ground, and it's not a loading dock if it's all the way to the ground. So we ended up building that section up to where it's level with the concrete. But when I got our first really big dryer in, we rolled it out of the truck down the ramp, and it went right through the fucking floor, like way too heavy. And the funny thing was, my dad just put that floor in like 2 days before.
Shit.
So like all tongue and groove, like put it in. It's all freshly painted, like ready to go. As soon as we came off the ramp, corner of it went right through the floor.
Jesus.
So my dad's like, fuck. He's like, we'll deal with that later. Let's just get it in. So we ended up getting like steel panels, laid them all out on the floor. And then it was just like, all right, 1, 2, 3, let's, and we just like pulled the dryer like as fast as humanly possible.
Just across it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like that movie 2012 where he's driving the fucking limo and the ground's crumbling behind him. That's what it felt like. Like, hurry up, let's get this shit in here before
it's crushing the floor. Yeah.
So I knew when I called to get the new equipment, the press alone, just the center section that holds all the arms on it is like 5,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's not going in the other way. So I ended up buying that massive like roll up door. So it's like 10 by 10 door.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was kind of cool getting that in there. But the only shitty part about it is it's not insulated. So in the wintertime, I'm just going to have to like foam panel over it and plastic sheeting or something.
Yeah. Because I mean, it probably gets cold as shit up there.
Oh yeah. Like negative temperatures. That's just crazy. Blowing through it.
That's crazy.
But yeah. Well, hey dude, it was fun having you on here. Dude,
thanks, man. This is great. I'm happy to be chatting it up, and you know, even if it's not a podcast, we'll keep using each other's resources and
hell yeah,
sending you clients and design and all that shit. Yeah, man.
It was nice to finally have a full conversation after all these years. And
I know it's a little overdue, but we did it. Yeah.
All right, dude. You have a good night, man.
Yeah. Thanks, man. We'll talk soon.
See ya.
All right. See you, bud.